hold the line, lead the way, look inside,
It's
fight
time
the
to
pain. Hold the line,
rise.
lead the way, look inside, fight the pain. Hold the line, lead the way, look inside, fight the pain.
It's time to rise. It's time to rise. It's time to rise when we fall. Burning hearts hit the floor. It never ends, never sleeps. Words are weapons taken to the streets. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. It's time to rise.
Hello, 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 hello. It's another Friday night. I am Solomonster. It is time for another Smackdown review. Aren't you happy? You know, there's also a big game going on right now. We're all competing against the big game, I feel like, every time we do one of these streams. Plus, we're also going live a little earlier than usual. WWE is still in the middle of its European tour. So Smackdown was in Italy. They were in Bologna tonight. And it was, SmackDown was the usual. But we have a few things to go through here. Now, Cody Rhodes and Gunther, I included them on the thumbnail because there was controversy coming out of their title match at Clash in Italy last weekend. Gunther's foot under the bottom rope, referee didn't see it. Cody pinned him, retained the title. Seemed pretty clear that we were heading towards a rematch, most likely in Riyadh at Clash of Champions, or Night of Champions. And so tonight, Gunther comes out on the WARPATH. He's pissed, right? As he should be, because he got screwed. It was the Italian screw job. And now we know that he is, in fact, going to be getting his rematch for the WWE Championship. We have a date. We have a time for when this match is going to take place. What we don't have is a stipulation. Now, we're going to have to wait 1 week to find out what the stipulation is. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to get the WWE title match between Cody Rhodes and Gunther. And as soon as they announced this on this show, I go, motherfucker. It's just funny to me because I would say we don't get WWE title matches very often on television, right? I mean, certainly not like we've been getting them in AEW over the last couple of months. It's rare to see Cody's title defended on TV. This year, it's happened twice. I think, right, this will be number 3, I believe. It just so happens the last time that championship was defended on this show was March 6th, which was the night that Cody Rhodes won the belt back from Drew McIntyre. And I was in Chicago that night for House of Glory, so I wasn't here to stream live and watch the match live. And it was a big title match that night. And so here we are now, and the fucking championship is going to be defended again on June 19th, which just so happens to be me back in Chicago again for House of Glory, and I will not be here to talk about SmackDown. It's like they know. It's like they know. But outside of that, I think it was pretty clear we were going to get a rematch between these two. I guess the big surprise is the fact that they're giving it away. Was it a week? I think it's about a week before, maybe a week and a half before Night of Champions, which tells me And you could kind of tell based on what they did in the opening segment that the title match at Night of Champions, assuming we get a WWE title match on that show, may well end up being a triple threat match involving one Sami Zayn, who has interjected himself into this whole story. Yes, I know. See, I always miss the good stuff, man. When there's like a really big, important match on this show. Always time for when I'm not here. And I'm here all the time. This pisses me off. Oh, man. Well, the other big thing on the show tonight, and this is going to have some people talking. Of course, we're in the middle of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. And this right here, coming into the show tonight, was the updated bracket for the King of the Ring. You can see Obafemi, he advanced on Monday night, meaning that he would meet the winner of the match that we got tonight between Dominik Mysterio, Bron Breakker, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest. Now, Bron Breakker was already in the main event of Raw Monday night, so he got to close both shows this week. He was in the main event, a very good match on Monday with Seth Rollins, a match that he lost. It seemed to me like the most logical conclusion to this match here was that Bron Breakker would bounce back and he would get a win in the opening round, and then we would all be set up for one hell of a semifinal round match, Obafemi and Bron Breakker, right? That could be a WrestleMania match 3 years from now, right? It would be the first time ever that we would be able to see these two guys in the ring together. And so it's like, okay, that's the sort of thing that makes King of the Ring kind of fun, because you could end up with a big match like that. And, you know, again, maybe it's not going to be the best match in the world because it's part of the tournament and it's not like they have their own story going on, but still, right? It's those possibilities of potential matches that you could end up with. Well, we didn't get that. We are not getting Obafemi and Bron Breakker in the King of the Ring tournament. We are not getting Obafemi and Trick Williams, which really wouldn't make any sense. And we're not getting Obafemi and Damian Priest, which I don't think anybody was asking for. We are getting Obafemi against Dominik Mysterio in the semifinal round of the King of the Ring tournament. So they're very serious about this Liv Dom stuff that they really want you to believe we may end up with King Dom and Queen Liv, which is why you can't discount the possibility that Liv Morgan, although I do think Stephanie Vaquer is on her way back any week now to screw her over, could very well advance at least to the semifinal round of the Queen of the Ring tournament just to keep hope alive. Her match, I think, is coming up next Monday. But Dom is going to the semifinals, and I'm torn on this. On the one hand, I look at this and I say, are these people on crack cocaine? Right? That's my first thought when I see the outcome of this match. They're sniffing the good stuff. Or the bad stuff. Drugs are bad. Okay? Drugs are bad. On the other hand, people will often talk about how everything is so predictable on these shows. Man, you could see from a mile away, this guy's going to advance, and this guy's going to advance, and this guy's going to win, that girl's going to win. And there was a lot of predictability on these shows. And it's one of the things that really sucks about these shows. Although I've talked about before, like predictability does not automatically mean bad. Sometimes predictability is good, right? You see a path for a certain story, someone should be going from point A to point B, and it makes sense for them to win, even if it is obvious, right? It all is in the way that you do. You try to make it exciting and try to make it interesting. This is one of those things where we got our first real upset in either of these tournaments, but they gave us an inferior match. And that sucks, because I think they had the potential here to do something fun in the next round. Now you might look at this and go, oh, this will be fun. It'll be fun watching Dominik try to avoid being ripped apart by Obafemi, right? It's a total mismatch. So there is something to be said for that. If you go back a couple of years, I don't know if you remember this, Brock Lesnar, there were rumors that Brock Lesnar was going to be wrestling Gunther at WrestleMania. That was probably going to be the WrestleMania match. And they were going to kick it off in the Royal Rumble that year. And in between, at the Elimination Chamber, they were preparing to do Dominik Mysterio against Brock Lesnar. And Dom was going to eliminate Brock in the Rumble. Right? That was reportedly the plan. I want to say this was for 2024. Didn't happen because the Janelle Grant thing dropped. They pulled Brock from the Rumble and he disappeared for 2 years. And at the time, I was like, man, that would have been fun. Just to see, even just the visual of Brock Lesnar in the ring with Dominik Mysterio is so preposterous. It's one of those like car crash, can't look away type things. Like, I got to see what this match looks like here. This has a little bit of that. So you have that element to it where it's like the freak show element. People are going to want to tune in to see Dominik Mysterio get pounded into the sand. Unless they really shock us and they find a way to get him a win because Brock Lesnar gets involved and what have you, right? So there's a few different ways that you could look at this. There's going to be some people who are stoked to see this match because they just can't envision it in their mind. I look at it a little bit differently. I just would have preferred that we got an Obafemi Bron Breakker match because I just think it would have made for a more exciting match. And now we're not getting it. And instead, the Judgment Day have just taken over these two tournaments because on the other side, we have the Queen of the Ring. And in that bracket tonight, we had the match between Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, Jacy Jayne, and Kiana James. The winner would go on to wrestle Io Sky, who already advanced this past Monday. And you look at this, and going into it, I said, man, I would love for a Jacy Jayne or a Kiana James win. Right? A new face. Either way, you get a relatively new face in there. At least they make it into the next round. And we get Io against one of them. Bayley, look, Bayley is I mean, she's the veteran here. She's been around forever. I don't think anybody's getting overly excited about Bayley, who's been doing the tag team thing anyway, moving on to the semifinals and wrestling Io Sky. Okay? Like, nobody really is terribly excited about that. Raquel Rodriguez, she had, heat with Io earlier this year. They had a match on TV. Raquel beat her, so there's some history there from a few months ago. And it's another member of the Judgment Day. And that doesn't really excite me, but that's what they went with. And Raquel Rodriguez is moving on to the semifinals, and she is going to be wrestling Io Sky, so they're going to rekindle their feud, their heat from earlier this year. But you just look at these two tournaments, and it's all about the Judgment Day. Dom's going to the semifinals. Raquel's going to the semifinals. Liv Morgan's the fucking world champion. She shouldn't even be in the tournament. She's in the opening round next week. She may well make it to the semifinals on her side of the bracket. I'm not really expecting any member of the Judgment Day to actually win either of these tournaments, but that's not even the point. You could kind of look at it and go, man, this, I wouldn't fault you if you felt that way, because that's kind of how I feel about it. Raquel winning, though, I can't say that that's an upset, though, because it kind of makes sense. I was hoping it would go a different way, but Raquel winning, I think, was, if you were to poll people and ask them, who do you think is going to win this match? My guess is that the majority of people would have voted for Raquel Rodriguez, so that wasn't really a surprise. The Dom win was a surprise. And so now we'll find out. We'll find out, are they going to go all the way with the Raquel thing in this tournament where she actually wins Queen of the Ring? Because they certainly are laying the groundwork here for, not even laying the groundwork for tension. We're getting tension, but they're laying the groundwork for a big explosion between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Whether or not they use the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring as a way to get her a championship match, right? Because she could choose the champion of her choosing. In theory, Raquel wins. She's getting a title shot against Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. Is that how they're going to go about doing it? They're going to have Raquel win the entire thing, and that's how we finally get to her and Liv? That's a possibility as well. Dom winning the King of the Ring is not happening. So whether he gets bounced in the semis or he gets bounced in the finals, kind of feels like a waste of a spot to me. Royce Keys. He lost tonight. Now, he's not, he is in the King of the Ring tournament. His match hasn't taken place yet. Royce Keys lost tonight to Tala Tonga. Yep. He lost to Tala Tonga. And before people go ahead and jump off the pier, just pump the brakes a little bit, because as awful as that sounds and as awful as that is, it was actually a good night for Royce Keys. And I'll get into why as we go along here. We got quite a bit of him on the show tonight, and that really is the bigger story here. I think there's going to be too many people focusing on the fact that he lost to fucking Tala Tonga here, and not enough people paying attention to the fact that he's been getting a lot of screen time on this show, which is good for him. You know who else got screen time on this show tonight? Chad Gable, who was conspicuous by his absence on Raw Monday night, coming off that epic match that he had on Saturday with El Grande Americano Kaiser. He was not on Raw. He was on SmackDown tonight. Got a big pop, too, even though he never appeared in front of the live audience. When they saw him, they cheered. He was there to meet with Nick Aldis. He was there to meet with Rey Fenix. We'll talk about why and what he was doing there. Doesn't necessarily mean he's on SmackDown. So we'll talk about that. Outside of the King and Queen of the Ring stuff, honestly, pretty standard SmackDown. And for those of you who may be wondering, wasn't SmackDown supposed to go back to 2 hours? I'm glad you asked. In fact, it is going back to 2 hours as of June 26th. I was a little unclear about whether June 26th was the last 3-hour show or the first 2-hour show. I'm pretty sure it's the first 2-hour show. But June 26th, I believe, is when SmackDown goes back to 2 hours. So we got a few more weeks. We got a few more weeks of this before we get back to the traditional 2-hour block of SmackDown, which, again, will not make the show any better, but at least it'll be an hour less of what we have to sit through every single week. That's a good thing. You know what else is a good thing? It's a good thing that you are here with me, because we get to talk about SmackDown tonight, which sometimes is more entertaining than SmackDown itself. It is Friday night. It is June 5th, 2026. I am Solomonster. Thank you guys. A little bit earlier than usual, but not too much earlier, for hanging out with me. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. By the way, I have to show this because I popped when I saw this. I just thought this was cool. This has nothing to do with SmackDown, by the way. But I will draw your attention to this. And for those of you who are going to listen to this on the audio, first of all, you know, The Dark Knight is my favorite movie of all time. So I got to give a hat tip to them for this poster. There's a poster that AEW put together and put up on their social media earlier today, which is on your screen right now. If you remember the Dark Knight movie poster from back in the day, or one of them at least, this is a takeoff of that with the TNT champion, the Jet, Kevin Knight. See, this is one of the benefits of being part of the Warner Brothers family, is being able to do stuff like this and tap into this IP. But you know what's so great about this poster and why it fits so well? Because Kevin Knight is, in fact, a Dark Knight. There's no lies in that statement. So this poster works in just a multitude of ways. But I saw this because they're having their summer blockbuster show this coming Wednesday. And I said, man, that's a badass poster. So I had to show that. Super chats are open. Get them on in. You'll see them popping up on your screen periodically here, and I'll be reading your messages a little bit later on. And we have a wheel that needs to be spun so we can find out how many likes we need to do Be the Booker later on. Will we? Will we do Be the Booker? That's the question. Let's find out. 5:15. All right, kind of steep. We're at 2:13 right now. We need. Wait, hey, there's Curtis Axel with all the confetti coming out of his nipples. Curtis Axel, who is no longer incarcerated. He spent 48 hours behind bars, but as far as we know, he is a free man. All right, well, get to work, guys. 300 more likes is what we need to hit the goal. Let's talk about this SmackDown show. Let's start from the very top. I'm periodically looking over just to check the score of the game, and things are going well for New York.
It's the amazing Gunther.
And Gunther approves
Jerry
too.
Lawler loves Gunther, the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Things are going well here for the Solomonster. Whenever Gunther appears on screen, it's a good night. Hey, Randy Bobandy with a $50 Gunther bomb. My 33rd birthday going pretty well today, I must say. My barber gave me a free cut. My local liquor store gave me a free 12-pack. Orioles got a dominating division win. All I need is a birthday shout-out from our Almighty Solo. Well, you got it. You got it. Happy birthday, Randy. 33. 33 was a good age. You'll enjoy it. That's pretty cool, though. You got a free haircut. Not bad. Well, hopefully I can give you a good stream, too. That's my gift to you to wrap up your birthday. But happy birthday, Randy. I appreciate you. Royce Keys is going to join the MFT. I think you may be right. We're going to get into it as we go along here. The way things are trending story-wise on this show with Royce Keys, I almost think he has to end up joining the MFTs. But we'll get into that. So Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, they checked in from the desk. Cole was filling in for Joe Tessitore, who he said was going to be calling some Zuffa boxing this weekend, so he was unavailable. Can't wait for some Zuffa boxing. I can't wait now to watch. So Gunther, he immediately hopped the barricade while the announcers were talking, and he was in no mood. He was throwing furniture around. He was pissed, as he should be, after what happened at Clash in Italy. And so he got on the microphone, jumped up on the announce desk first, got the mic, and he mentioned that his foot was under the bottom rope. He intentionally placed his foot underneath the bottom rope in order to kick out, so to speak, and keep the match going with Cody Rhodes. Referee didn't see it. He counted 3 anyway, and so he was screwed. And he's just, again, beside himself here with rage. Said the referee knows it. Cody knows it. He accused Cody of cheating, stealing what rightfully belongs to him. Then he looked into the camera and he was about to address Cody, and he was interrupted by Cody's music. So out comes the WWE champion, and he does his usual entrance. He's all smiles. He's in his suit. He's smacking hands with the fans. It's just a jolly old day here for Cody Rhodes, who knows that he stole one on Sunday and doesn't seem to give a shit. So he makes his way down. Cody said Gunther's right. He's right. Said that if Gunther wanted a rematch, they could do it tonight. Sami Zayn made his entrance. Actually sounded like he got more cheers than boos. And he came out, he thanked all of his ride or die fans here in Italia. There was even a Sammy chant that broke out. Said that he tried to mind his own business, but he couldn't take it anymore. He said Gunther was robbed of his championship opportunity. And again, Sammy was making his way down to the ring as he was talking here. He said he knows what that's like. And he also referred to Cody as the golden boy. He said Cody and Gunther both did him wrong. Gunther told him to shut up, get out of the ring. So Cody told Sammy, I'm a little busy right now, as you could tell. And Sammy told Cody, you're always blowing me off. What? Well, hey. You're always blowing me off when the biggest threat to your championship may well be looking you right now straight in the eyes. Cody asked, oh, is that so? And then Sammy brought up Cody once saying that he would teach him a lesson after he beat Gunther. He said, Cody beat Gunther, and he asked, when are you going to teach me that lesson? When am I going to learn this lesson? So Gunther got into the ring. He shoved Cody into Sammy, and Gunther fought with both of them. They ended up on the floor, or he and Sammy did anyway. Cody went for a suicide dive. Gunther moved, and so Cody inadvertently struck Sammy on the suicide dive, which is not going to make Sammy very happy. And Cody, he looked like, he was showing remorse for what he had done, and he offered his hand to Sammy, who blew him off and got up on his own, and he walked away. So I was happy that, again, Gunther came out and he was all full of anger and rage. I mean, again, there are just times where people will lose matches and then they'll come out as if nothing ever happened, didn't really faze them. They're no-selling it. You can't do that in a situation like this. So that was, kind of needed here. Now, we learn later on in the show when the match is going to be taking place between Cody and Gunther. Again, it will not be at Night of Champions. And I think you see the seeds being planted over all of these weeks with Cody and Sammy, and you're like, where is this going? Right? What is the end game here? What is the end goal here? I don't know if it's the end goal, but it seems to me like the goal may be to get all three of them in the ring together in Riyadh. It almost has to be that way now, right? They're doing Cody and Gunther on the 19th. We'll find out what the stipulation is. And then you either run it back with all three of them involved, or I suppose they could just blow it off on the 19th and then just do Cody and Sami and Rhea, but that just doesn't seem very likely to me. It would be something, though, at the end of all of this. People are talking about Gunther. They're talking about Randy Orton might come back. And, who else could Cody wrestle at SummerSlam? It could be, Cody and Roman is being teased. It would be kind of funny if at the end of all of this, whether it's SummerSlam or whenever, Sami Zayn finally wins the big one, and it's from Cody. I mean, look, he's in the mix, right? I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying he's at least in the mix. And he's got an interesting thing going on here where he comes out. He's mostly booed now, although he does have his pockets of fans. And I don't know, you can call it delusion, but he comes out and he's thanking his ride or die fans. And usually when he does, he gets booed. Like he's the only one who believes he has ride or die fans. He did in Bologna tonight, though. Again, he was getting cheered by a lot of people. So his character arc has kind of gotten interesting, which is good because for a while there, Sami was just there, right? He was just on the show. There was nothing terribly interesting about anything that he was doing. And now he's got an interesting thing going, where he's a heel, but maybe not totally. And it just kind of varies by the week. At least there's something interesting now about his character in a way that wasn't even just a few months ago. Now we go backstage. And The Miz was walking, and he was FaceTiming with Kit Wilson. Still unable to make it overseas, I guess. Tried to smuggle in too much moisturizer. Was that the story? So apparently he's just banned from Italy. He cannot get into Italy. So Miz was venting about the Cavs losing. Too bad. And also Myles Garrett being traded by the Cleveland Browns. And then he walks... or comes upon Danhausen's laboratory. He's still on FaceTime with Kit Wilson. And he walks in and he went to go lift up the sheet to reveal the undead Baron Corbin. But before he could, Danhausen told him, "Don't touch that." So then Miz started touching various things. And Danhausen's telling him, "Don't touch that. Don't touch that." Miz pushes this over. He shoves that over. And the last thing that he touched, Danhausen was like, "Especially don't touch that." And he touched it and he got electrocuted. Then he fell to the floor. And then Danhausen picked something up off the floor that he ate, and then he walked off. And then the last shot was of Miz just frozen and stunned on the ground, and the phone was laying on the floor, and Kit Wilson was still on the phone. Comedy. Comedy this was. That comedy led into our first tournament match of the night, which was a Queen of the Ring match, four-way, Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, Jacy Jayne, and Kiana James, who brought Julia out with her. So Julia got another appearance here in Italy. She wrestled on Monday night, took the losing fall, but at least she got to wrestle. And so tonight, it looked like she was maybe not going to come to the ring with Kiana. Kiana kind of insisted that she come down with her. And so that right there, that and also the issues that they've been having recently should have told you that something was going to happen here. I think we even talked about this last week or somebody brought it up maybe in a super chat, like on this show, because we didn't even know at the time that she was going to be wrestling on Monday, right? Why would she be on Raw? We figure, well, she has no match at Clash in Italy. At least maybe they'll shoot the angle on this show to split her and Kiana up, which is what they did here when this match was over. So late in the match, Jacy hit Julia with a cheap shot on the floor, Jacy Jayne. Julia was not in the match, but she got hit with a shot by Jacy anyway. So Jacy climbed up on the apron. Bayley sent her back to the floor. And in the ring, Kiana rolled up Bayley, and she was using the ropes for leverage. She put her feet on the ropes. Jacy, who was outside, shoved her feet off the ropes. So Julia punched Jacy, but when Kiana turned around to see who the hell just broke up this pin, she didn't see Jacy Jayne. She saw Julia. And she assumed that Julia did it, and she was very upset. And so the two of them started arguing. Bayley then put Kiana down with a rose plant. Jacy dropped Bayley with her rolling encore finish, but then Raquel blasted her with a big boot. And Raquel put Kiana down with the Tejana bomb, stacked her, and pinned her to advance to the semifinals of the Queen of the Ring. Raquel Rodriguez is moving on. She will rekindle her feud from earlier this year with Io Sky. And as much as I want Io to win, Io, like if you were to ask me, who do you want to win Queen of the Ring? And who do I think probably does have the best shot? I would say Io Sky. I like the idea of Io challenging, frankly, for either championship. I mean, obviously there's a story there if she wants to wrestle Rhea for the title at SummerSlam. But her and Liv would be great, I think, as a title match on that show too. So that's who I want to see win. Raquel Rodriguez, though, again, they're doing these things where Liv Morgan will make these comments, and she did it on Monday, she did it again tonight, where I'm in the tournament, I want it all, me and Dom are going to be the king and queen. And Raquel's like, hello, like, I'm in the tournament too. And she, oh, yeah, or you. Either one of us will win. Either way, the Judgment Day wins, right? But she's always like making comments like that. And so again, she's like poking the bear. And so they're teasing it. Raquel winning and then challenging Liv for the championship, very possible. Because they were kind of trending in that direction anyway a few months ago, like in the lead up to WrestleMania. Or even didn't Liv eliminate Raquel from the Rumble? I think she did. And so they were teasing this stuff. They were teasing this stuff a few months ago, and then they sort of just dropped it. And they really got away from the Liv and Raquel stuff. And so now they're finally circling back to it. You can't discount the possibility Raquel goes all the way. I don't think she needs to win Queen of the Ring to get there, though. You know, it's not needed. You can still get there, and she doesn't have to win the crown. But Julia checked on Kiana, helped her to her feet. Hey, Venom Kutetsu, thank you, by the way, for the Brie mode. Brie was on the show, too, by the way. Brie got her ass kicked. Brie was on camera for like 5 seconds and got her ass kicked. Wemby is scared. Yeah, what's going on with Wemby? They're beating up on poor Wemby in the Spurs game. Come on, man. This is the time you got to nut up here. This is where boys become men. This is where you show your championship colors here. Julia checks on Kiana after the match and helps her to her feet. And Kiana shoves her and tells her, get off me. And so she shoves her again and says that we're done. The fans are booing. Julia then attacks her and the fans cheer, right? Of course they would. They're in Italy. So she tackles her. The fans cheer. She hits her with a kick and Kiana rolls out of the ring. So they did, in fact, save the split for Italy. Julia got a nice pop out of it. Is that going to translate when they're back in the States? That's the question. Because one of the things about Julia, even when she was the United States champion, she would go out there and get no reaction. And it was sad. It was sad. She would go out there and the crowd was dead silent. It's like when Zelina Vega was the champion, you know, and she would go out there. No reaction. There were just some people on the show will go out there and it was like crickets. Is this suddenly going to change that for Julia? I hope she can get something going. I really, at this point, if you were to ask me, okay, the split has now happened. They're going to wrestle, right? They'll have a match at some point. Who is WWE going to hitch their wagon to? If they could only hitch it to one, the answer is Kiana James. Kiana James has the potential to be women's world champion. Like, and you could tell that they see her in that light too, even going back to the beginning of the year. I think she had a really good showing in the Rumble. I believe she was in the Chamber. Kind of reminded me of Roxanne Perez last year, who also had like the longest ever performance in a Royal Rumble. And I think she was in the Chamber and she looked good. I think that they see big things in the future for Kiana. Kiana she's very good. And she's improving, I think, with each, performance that we see. And I think they see her as a future champion. I don't know that they look at Julia the same way. If I had to put money down on who I think is going to get the opportunity to go further and who's going to get the bigger push out of the two of them, I think the answer is Kiana. I think she's the priority over Julia. I think when they put them together, she was the priority. Some people just didn't realize it at the time, but we could look back on it now and say, you know what? I think this was just a way to get Kiana into the mix. But for Julia's sake, look, I hope she can get something going. I hope Triple H can really, get behind her. But I don't know. I don't have as much optimism for what her future looks like here as much as I do Kiana. Kiana, I think, is going to go places, and Julia right now, it's 50-50. Now, backstage, also, Sami Zayn was venting to a comatose, catatonic Johnny Gargano. Wait until we get to the sound off this weekend. I have a small little news item. I'm going to save it for later in the podcast. And it's not about Johnny Gargano per se, but when I mention this stat, I'll mention Johnny's name because he's kind of part of it. It's gonna make you shake your head. It's gonna make you shake your. It has to do with 2K26. It's gonna make you shake your head. But anyway, so he's venting to Johnny Gargano because he's waiting for Nick Aldis, who shows up and he tells Sami, stay out of Cody and Gunther's business. And Aldis accuses Sami of making a bad situation worse. And Sami's like, how did I do that? Aldis said, look, he had to go to a meeting, and Sami was very upset about being blown off yet again. So he asked him, who's so important that I can't get a minute of your time? And Aldis says, well, if you must know. And he motions to someone who is standing behind Sami. And it's Chad Gable. Chad Gable has appeared on SmackDown. He's in a suit. He gets a big pop, too. You could hear it from the crowd in the arena. And so we have a brief stare down between Sami and Chad. And then Nick Aldis motions Gable into his office so that they can chat. Chat about what? We don't know. Right? Maybe the possibility of him working on SmackDown? I don't know. This was not the last time we would see Chad Gable on this show, so we'll talk more about him later. Have things tightened in the game? Let's see. Ooh. Oh my. Tie game. A tie game with under 3 minutes left. See, that's what you call exciting playoff basketball. Could go either way now. It's a must win though for the Spurs. Spurs have to win. I mean, if they lose this, just psychologically, that's a tough thing to come back from. But they have gone on a 14-0 run to tie it up. How about that? I'll keep you posted. But you know what's more exciting than this? We got to move on. You know why? Because we have something far more exciting than this. We have Royce Keys against Tala Tonga. And I know all of you are waiting with bated breath for me to talk about this. I've been waiting since I heard that this match was booked for this show. I have goosebumps on my arm for this match. Now, Tala Tonga had Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga in his corner outside the ring. I'm going to skip ahead and save you the pain here of the early portion of this. Keys, he attempted to body slam Tala Tonga and had to pretend that he couldn't, even though we know he can, but he pretended that he couldn't. So he fell down on top of Royce Keys. He did eventually get him up for a power slam, though, late in the match, and then the straps came down. Solo Sikoa gets up on the apron to run distraction while Tama tried to interfere. And so there was a weird miscommunication on this spot where Tama Tonga, he kind of ran towards the steps and he was going to launch himself off the steps for what? I don't know. And then Keys sort of caught him with a punch on the way down. I don't know if he was supposed to, or it was very weird the way this all came off. But anyway, Tama Tonga, he ate a punch from Royce Keys. So Keys gets back into the ring, but he gets mowed down by a big boot and then a choke slam, and Tala Tonga pins Royce Keys in the middle of the ring here on SmackDown. I repeat, Tala Tonga pinned Royce Keys. Now, after the match, Solo had the two Tongans go on the attack until R-Truth ran out to make the save. Damian Priest then ran out, not to make the save for Royce Keys, though. He was pulling R-Truth away, saying, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? This has nothing to do with us. Leave it alone." And he pulled him away, and off they went. He didn't want him to have anything to do with Royce Keys. And so that left Keys open for the not-so-hidden blade from Tama Tonga, and so Royce Keys was left laying. So Solo then kind of took a knee by Royce, and Royce is laying there on the mat, and Solo says it didn't have to be like this, but you just won't listen. And he told Keys, join the family. Join the family. Well, that's not ideal. You never want to hear the words Tama Tonga beat Royce Keys, but that's what they did tonight. Now, you know my thoughts on the MFT stuff, but the reality is this. If they're prepping the MFTs for some sort of battle, some sort of bloodline civil war, dare I say another fucking War Games match later this year with Bloodline 2.0 over on Raw, then they're going to do everything in their power to keep these guys looking strong. And that includes Tama Tonga, Tala Tonga, Solo Sikoa, all three of them. This is what they're going to do until eventually we get that battle, which they certainly teased coming out of Clash in Italy. So that's just the reality of the situation. They're going to want these guys to come out looking strong. But I think here's my takeaway from all this, or maybe me trying to look at the half glass or the glass half full. Him taking the loss here, fine. It's not a big deal. And the reason that I kind of say that is this. Royce Keys had a match on this show. The more important takeaway is how many times he showed up. He had at least three different maybe four, I think three different segments on this show. He had this match and then I think two different backstage segments. And this has kind of been a pattern with him where he's getting screen time across the show in multiple segments. And I kind of mentioned this like with the Judgment Day on Raw. Even when the Judgment Day is not at its peak anymore, but they still get a lot of screen time on that show. They're all over the fucking show. And that's the key. That's, to me, that tells me when it comes to WWE, who they prioritize and who they don't. You don't see Julia in fucking 3, 4, 5 segments a week on SmackDown. If she gets one, she's lucky. But if Royce Keys is having a match and he's in this backstage segment with R-Truth and he's in this backstage segment with Solo Sikoa or he's bumping into Jacob Fatu, he's getting screen time on these shows. He's getting FaceTime. That is more important than losing here to Tala Tonga, unless it becomes a pattern. Then it becomes a problem. But I look at it and go, okay, they obviously, are they have plans for him. They have ideas for him. They're using him. And so that, to me, is more important than him taking a loss here in this match. That's how we have to look at it. Now, Damian Priest, him doing this stuff, I get like, oh, I don't trust this guy. He comes off very heelish when he does this. But again, the more I look at all of this stuff, I think in the end, we are going to probably get Royce Keys aligning with Solo Sikoa, whether it's just full on joining the MFTs or just sort of aligning loosely with them. I think that's where we're headed here. And I think Damian Priest in the end will probably be proven true, even though he looks like a dick every single time he's, blowing R-Truth off. No, I don't trust this guy. Fuck this guy. In the end, he'll probably be proven true, right, everything he's saying. But I look at it and go, the MFTs only have 3 guys. They have Solo Sikoa and they have the 2 Tongans, and that's it. And if they're going to go to war with the Bloodline, if they're going to be in a War Games match with the Bloodline, they need a 4th person. Well, who would that 4th person be? Who's the guy that Solo Sikoa has continued to try and recruit every single week now for what feels like 6 weeks now? Royce Keys. And he keeps saying no, 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 no. And Solo won't let up, and he's planting all of these ideas in his mind. And again, there was another segment later on that I'm going to talk about. It sure feels like at the end of all this, he probably is going to end up siding with Solo Sikoa. I think that's probably where this is headed. Liv Morgan, Dominik Mysterio, JD McDonough, they were all standing in a stairwell backstage and applauding Raquel Rodriguez on her win. Liv said that if they both win, they could meet in the finals of the tournament, and then one of them could take the WWE Championship away from Rhea Ripley. And Liv said something about her and Dom being the king and queen, and again, that upset Raquel. A little seed being planted there as well every single week. It's just like a little comment here and a little comment there. And Raquel is getting more and more irritated with this woman. We check to see where we are here with this game. Oh, man. Less than a minute left. The Knicks are down. They're down by a basket. This is exciting. Backstage, R-Truth is asking why Damian Priest didn't want to help. And Priest said that Truth is his priority because they're the tag team champions. Truth asked him if he should check on Royce Keys. And Priest asked, what are you doing? Like, you're not a doctor. Truth said that my brother is a doctor. And Priest said, you don't have a brother. And so Truth said, something about the doctor of thugonomics. You can't see me. Ha ha ha. Again, it's supposed to be funny. So Priest walks away. Truth is there by himself. And enter the War Raiders with their brand new AAA Tag Team Championships to no reaction from the crowd out in the arena. Like Chad Gable before when they showed him on screen. Big reaction, big cheers from the fans. The War Raiders walk in. They got their new belts that they just won from Psycho Clown and Pagano the other night. No reaction. So they tell R-Truth, look, let us know when you want to put those WWE tag team titles up against our AAA tag team titles. And Truth blew them off and said that I've never met you guys before. And he walked off. The War Raiders are so ice cold that nobody reacted. And there may well have been people who had no idea initially when they first walked in because we haven't seen them on Raw or SmackDown in months. Now, they don't look radically different from the last time we saw them, but still, there probably were some people who initially were like, wait, who is that? What belts is that? Do they have there? It's sad. It really just reminds you of what the state of this tag team division used to be on SmackDown. Not even that long ago, a year ago, like little over a year ago, not even 18 months. You know, you had DIY and you had the Motor City Machine Guns and you had the Street Profits, Fraxium. I'm sure I'm missing, one or two more. Hot tag team division on SmackDown. And now we have Damian Priest and R-Truth as the tag team champions. And now the AAA tag team champions, who are Raw stars, who haven't even been seen on Raw in months, are walking in and saying, hey, we want a shot at the WWE tag team titles. I'm like, how did we get here? How did we get from where we were a year ago, 12, 15 months ago on SmackDown to the state that we're in now? It's depressing. We have the WWE Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, who made her entrance, made her way down to the ring. And Michael Cole noted on commentary that Rhea's grandparents were born in Italy. Eventually, they moved to Australia. I mean, she was going to get a big reaction anyway. But she gets in the ring, and she says that Jade tried to play the numbers game at Clash in Italy, but she failed to take her out. However, Rhea said that she got a little help from someone unexpected, and that brought out Charlotte Flair. Charlotte said that she knew Rhea didn't ask for her help, but she had Ripley's back because she respects her. She said that she's had fun teaming with her lately, and she talked about winning the Queen of the Ring qualifier or first round match that she has coming up next week. Business is business, though. She's going to win that match. She's going to go to the finals. She's going to win, and she's going to challenge and beat Rhea Ripley for her championship. So Tiffany Stratton came out, the Women's United States Champion. Charlotte asked if Tiffany was there to apologize to her, and Stratton said that she was actually there for Rhea. I'm not here for you. Stratton said that she looks damn good with the U.S. title, but she wants that one. That brought out Jade Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin. Jade said that she would make sure that Charlotte's side quest was rewarded, telling her to look at your stupid friend, Alexa. Alexa Bliss was not there tonight. Jade told Tiffany to stay out of grown folks' business. She told Rhea to enjoy her title while she can. And she said she was coming for what was hers, and she started to walk towards the ring. She started her promo in the aisle. Nick Aldis came out and told Jade and her baddies to stop. He mentioned that Rhea was not medically cleared. Charlotte had an idea. I know Rhea's not cleared, but how about this? And Tiffany, you and I don't have to like each other. But what if tonight it was you and me, and we take on Jade and one of her backup dancers, she said. And so Aldis booked Jade and Michin against Charlotte and Tiffany right after this commercial break. And before we get to that match, I'm checking here, the Knicks are up by 1 with 9 seconds left. Well, we have to wait and see how this plays out now. We have to see how this plays out. Let's see what's going to happen here. Man, you talk about coming down to the wire here. We're live here. We're live talking about this. Let's see what happens here in these last 7 seconds. Wish I could have it up on the screen. We could all watch it together. So there's not, okay, so 9.5 seconds left. Hold on, man. Let me see. Let me see here. Hold on. Hold on. See if I can bring this up here before it ends. What channel is it on? Oh, here it is. AB. It's on ABC. Let's see here. What do we got? This is going to be the longest 7 seconds on planet Earth here. Come on, man. We're live. We're live, pal. We're live, pal. All right, so the Knicks are up by 1. There is 7.5 seconds remaining in this game. Okay, we're gonna watch the end of this together, and then we're gonna pick up with this review. Solo, how do you do it? You've watched wrestling at some of the worst times. How do you power through? You guys help me power through. Seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. Spurs have the ball. It's all down to this. No! Oh, wow. Holy shit. Wow. The Knicks win by 1. Holy shit. I can't believe that basket didn't go in. Spurs had the ball. They shot it. All it had to do was go in and they win, and it bounced off the rim. Unbelievable. So they are going back to New York. They're going to Madison Square Garden up 2-0. And they're going home. That's, you know what? That's a killer. That is a killer. How do you come back from that? Like, how do you recover from that? When you're this close. You're this close, and now you're down 2-0. And now you have to go on the road. Yes, Danhausen. Yes. No, well, Danhausen didn't curse. No, he cursed the Cavs. I think he cursed the Cavs. I know he uncursed the Knicks. I don't think he cursed the Spurs. He just uncursed the Knicks. So now the Knicks have gone, what? Is it 13-0? I think 13-0 in the playoffs. Like, that's ridiculous. The curse is real. 13-0. I mean, come on. That is impressive. That is not an easy thing to do. Man, hat tip to those guys. Man, and you know what? That means I got to be live now on Monday, and there's probably going to be another game that's going to come down to the wire on Monday, and I got to talk about Raw. Why can't these games be on a night where I'm not streaming? Maybe I'd like to be able to watch one of these games. Anyway, let's move on here. We had a tag team match. We had a tag team match. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair against Jade Cargill and Michin. Michin hit a Styles Clash. Not the first time that we've seen somebody recently hit a Styles Clash. In fact, Will Ospreay just did one, I think. Did he do one on Wednesday in his match with Mark Davis? I know he did one in the match with Samoa Joe, which was impressive. Even AJ Styles was like, yeah, I mean, that was impressive. Giving a Styles Clash to Samoa Joe is not an easy thing to do, he said. Michin doing a Styles Clash didn't look quite as impressive as Ospreay doing it to Samoa Joe. But she had her pinned. Tiffany broke up the fall. A little while later, Tiffany tagged in, put Michin down with an Alabama slam, and then hit a Swanton bomb, only for a near fall, though. So Jade tagged in. Stratton, though, hit a stunner and had her pinned until Michin broke things up. Jade came back with a sit-out power bomb, only for a 2. So Tiffany reached for a tag. Michin, though, yanked Charlotte off the apron. Flair ran Michin into the ring post, but then B-Fab dropped Charlotte with a big boot. Jade hit a distracted Tiffany Stratton with a pump kick and then set up for Jaded. Tiffany, though, countered out into a pin attempt. Stratton then hit Jade with a rolling senton. She was about to go for the prettiest moonsault ever. Jade cut her off, knocked her off the top rope, crotched her, and then got her in position for Jaded, and she dropped her face first, planted her down on the mat for Jaded, and she got the pin. 1, 2, 3. And Jade Cargill pins the United States champion here in this tag team match. Jade is out of the world title picture, and she ain't going back into it. I just don't see that. So, in the meantime, what they have to do is keep her strong because she's still in an opening round 4-way match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Next week, it's going to be her, it's going to be Charlotte, and then whoever else is in that match. I don't have the bracket in front of me. Let me put the bracket up real quick here. Just remind myself here of who is in the match. Lyra Valkyria and Sol Ruka are in the match next week with Charlotte and Jade. So they want to keep Jade strong going into this match next week. Whether she wins or not, I don't see her winning. But that's why she got the win here. She's out of the world title picture. But they're not ready to start beating her like a drum, right? You still got to keep her looking strong. Maybe she'll end up challenging Tiffany for the U.S. title now that she's not going to be challenging for the world title. Maybe they'll come back around to this and be like, hey, I pinned you in that match, remember? They could do that if they want to. They can get a TV match out of it. You know, later in the month, next month, Saturday night's main event next month, they could do Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton for the United States Championship. I'm not saying I want to see it. I'm just saying they can do it if they wanted to. Backstage, Jayne was venting about her loss. She was talking to Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed when Kathy Kelly came over, wanted to interview them. But Jacy spotted something off camera. She walked over, and it was Paige and Brie Bella, scream mode, I guess, as some people are now calling them, who were in the middle of a photo session. You saw all the clicking and the flashes and everything. So Fatal Influence comes over to interrupt. And Fallon and Lainey, they attacked the champions from behind and laid them out. And then they picked up the women's tag belts and looked at them and then dropped them next to the champions. A little, just, don't forget about us. We're going to be coming after these belts real soon. Also backstage, R-Truth was talking to Royce Keys. There he is again. Say Royce Keys. He's all over the place. And he's telling him that Damian Priest can be a tough nut to crack. But you're going to love him once you get to know him. And Keys was like, look, I don't give a damn about Damian Priest. He doesn't give a damn about me. He goes, look, you and me, we're all good. But if Priest wants an issue with me, then he's going to get one. And off he went. We had a rematch between Ricky Saints and Carmelo Hayes, who got attacked before the bell, before he could even get his jacket off. Referee checked with Melo to see if he was okay. Then he called for the bell. Melo hit a frog splash for a near fall, all while still wearing his ring jacket. And then he clotheslined Saints over the top rope to the floor. Later in the match, Hayes went up top for a nothing but net. Saints ran into the ropes, and that sent Carmelo all the way down to the floor. So Ricky followed him out, and Hayes ended up diving at him, but he caught him with a shot right to the throat. So Melo barely beat the referee's count back inside. Ricky was arguing with the referee. He got rolled up only for a near fall. Then moments later, Hayes rolled up Saints, who rolled through, held the tights, which the referee did not see, and with a fistful of tights, or trunks would be more appropriate. Actually, no. What is Mello? Mello wears tights. Ricky wears trunks. I always get them confused. But anyway, he hooked the tights and he got the pin. He stole one. And Mello couldn't believe it. So now, just to recap where we've been with these two men, Mello, he got a win over Ricky in their first match. In their second match, we had a double countout. And now Ricky got a win over Mello. So we're kind of all knotted up here. And we're going to be either setting up for one more singles match, or the two of them are now really in a position where both of them could challenge Trick Williams for the United States Championship. We could very well end up with a triple threat match. They could do that at Night of Champions. If Night of Champions is going to have most of the titles defended, that would be the obvious match. You do Mello, you do Saints, and you do Trick for the U.S. title. Backstage, Chelsea Green was talking to Tiffany Stratton and told her she was surprised that she didn't have her at ringside for her match earlier. Tiffany said, well, I didn't think that I would need you. Chelsea hoped that Tiffany would be in her corner for her match later, but Tiffany blew her off again, which is becoming a pattern here. She really doesn't want to have anything to do with this woman. After this, we got another Blake Monroe vignette. Am I the only one who finds this very strange? They started airing these coming soon vignettes many, many weeks ago for Blake Monroe. And then one week she was at SmackDown. She was backstage, 10, 15 seconds maybe, didn't say or do anything. It was very brief, but she was there. And ever since then, it's been more vignettes. I don't have an issue with them doing vignettes. I think they should be doing more of them, frankly, with some of these people that get called up. But why did they even have her show up on the show a few weeks ago just to go back to doing these videos? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you stick that in there? Run the vignettes for a certain period of time and then have her debut on SmackDown. That's what doesn't make any sense to me. But in this vignette, which again was her talking about Tiffany Stratton, it was pretty clear that she's coming for the United States champion when she debuts. This was all about Tiffany. She even made a comment about how they're basically like mirror images of each other, which I've been saying that for a while now. I almost don't even know why you would program the two of them to wrestle right out of the gate and have that be her first program. It's like you're looking at two Barbie dolls. They may as well be tag team partners. But evidently they're going to be programming them together, I guess, when Blake debuts. We had Lash Legend with Nia Jax in her corner against Chelsea Green with Tiffany Stratton not in hers. Legend was ragdolling her, threw her on the floor outside. Nia was able to get a shot in on her. Later in the match, Chelsea went up top. She hit a crossbody onto both women on the floor. She tossed Lash back inside, went up top, delivered a missile drop kick. She was setting up for an unprettier, but Legend countered into her Lash extension finish, and she pinned her. And this didn't go very long. I don't know, 3.5, 4 minutes, something like that. The stuff with Tiffany, it just seems like it's eventually going to build to Tiffany kind of having a soft spot for her. We'll end up, I don't want to say they're going to be a tag team, but I think it'll end up being one of these sort of, rock and sock situations where they end up becoming friends, or even rock and sock, even Charlotte and Alexa. I think it'll end up something like that. Even though I think it should go the exact opposite way, where Tiffany just gets sick of all this shit and she teases that, you know what? She's softening up a little bit on Chelsea. Yeah, maybe we can be friends. And then she just lowers the boom and turns heel on her. Because Tiffany Stratton should be a heel. She'll be better as a heel. And it'll help elevate Chelsea as a babyface that much more because people like Chelsea. So I think if they see that, she's warming up to her, and then Tiffany smashes her with the championship, people aren't going to like that. You know what I mean? Like they'll be sympathetic with Chelsea, and then hopefully they'll boo Tiffany. And I think that's the right way to go about doing it. But I I don't trust that that's what they're going to do. Especially if Blake Monroe is talking about Tiffany, and Blake is probably debuting as a heel, so it doesn't seem like Tiffany's going to be going heel anytime soon. Now backstage, Solo Sikoa approached, guess who? Royce Keys. Yet another segment with Royce Keys on this. He's all over the place. And Royce Keys wanted nothing to do with this guy. Smart guy. Solo told him, though, Roman Reigns made Jacob Fatu kneel like a dog on Raw Monday night. And Keys said, what does that have to do with me? And Solo's point was, that has everything to do with you. Said, you have no one left. Said, Fatu, the Usos, Roman, they're not calling you. You know who's calling you? Me. And Solo took credit for bringing Jacob and Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga to WWE. Solo said that they need to go get ready for war. Keyword there being war. He told Keys to stop making things so difficult, or I would make things difficult for you. This is what I mean, man. I mean, it's going to be like the long, drawn-out process until we get to wherever we're going with this. MFTs need at least one more body. If you're going to do some sort of match, be it War Games or whatever, with the Bloodline, they don't have enough men. Who else are they going to bring in? I mean, so many members of the family. I suppose you could always recruit from the family. And no, I don't think Zilla is coming in anytime soon. Who else is there? You've been spending all of this time. What is the point? What is the point of all of these segments, right? If Royce Keys in the end doesn't link up with Solo and the MFTs. He's already blown them off every single time. And yet he continues to recruit and continues to try to convince him more and more every single week. Why? Why? Because eventually they're probably going to end up on the same side. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the point of this is. He's made it very clear he doesn't want to have anything to do with you. But there's got to be a reason why they keep going back to this and why Solo will not let this go. Right? And he made some good points too. He goes, look, Jacob was your boy. He's not here anymore. No one's calling you. No one's helping you. Damian Priest doesn't want to help you. Nobody wants to help you. Eventually it becomes a situation where it's like, if I can't beat him, I'll join him. Now, elsewhere, the new AAA Cruiserweight Champion, Rey Fenix, was backstage talking to Axiom and Nathan Frazier, who pointed out, we're Cruiserweights too. And Phoenix said, look, I want to defend my championship all over the world, and if you want a shot, all you got to do is ask. Chad Gable showed up, and he asked for a word with Phoenix alone. So after Axiom and Frazier left, Gable, he remembered, what was it, last year, I think it was. You and me, Ray, we had this great WrestleMania match, but, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't take you seriously. And he said that he did so under false pretenses. He made a mockery of Lucha Libre, but now he realizes what it's truly all about. And so he asked for forgiveness. And Phoenix forgave him, but he reminded him that he's not the only one who Gable offended. And I took this that he was alluding to his brother, Penta, which is why I'm not so sure that this is a sign that Gable is going to SmackDown. Like when he showed up with Nick Aldis, I'm like, oh, okay, Aldis is making some moves. They're gonna move Gable away from all the people he's already been working with. Fresh coat of paint, fresh scenery on SmackDown. That may not necessarily be what's going on here. We may see him on Raw Monday night begging for forgiveness from Penta next. So we don't know where Chad Gable is going to land. The key is that Chad Gable, though, is back on TV. It would have been insane for Triple H not to have him back on TV no later than this coming Monday. That's what I said in my Raw review this past Monday. He wasn't there on Monday in Italy. It's like, okay. They were plugging the replay of that AAA mask match so much. He was getting a lot of attention that way. It's like, but if he's not back on the show by next week, I mean, that's going to be a huge fumble. And so I was happy to see him on this show. And then I have no reason to doubt that he won't be on Raw Monday night. Where he'll end up, I don't know. Is all of this just an act and he's still going to be a heel and he's going to turn on somebody? Or is he going to be a babyface? I think he should be a babyface. I think it's time for a babyface Chad Gable push on WWE television, but a serious one. Not a half-ass one where, okay, we'll put him in some matches and then he'll just fucking lose like he did all the fucking time with Gunther. or turn him heel again and then have him doing comedy bullshit. If you were ever going to do something serious with Chad Gable, ever, this is the time to do it. He will never have more momentum than he has now coming out of that mask match last weekend. And he lost. He was the loser of that match, but he was more over coming out of it than he was going into it. The match was so huge and everybody was heaping so much praise on it that you fucking replayed it. They weren't even planning on replaying it on Netflix. That was a last minute thing. Like within a 24-hour period, they got that shit up. And at the end of Raw Monday night, they were showing that match, not the event, just the match, because it was that great. And Chad Gable was a very big part of why. That was the best match of that man's life. And he's got genuine momentum right now. This is not the time to squander it. It's not enough just to get him on TV. That's great. What are you going to do with him? I understand he doesn't really fit into the world championship picture right now with Roman Reigns. To be honest with you, I could see him having a much better chance of doing something with Cody on SmackDown than with Roman on Raw. But whatever you end up doing with him, wherever he lands, don't fuck this up. Okay? Don't squander this. He's too good to be squandered. He's been good. Anybody who was watching him when he was with American Alpha in NXT knows how good this man is. Yes, he's not the biggest man on the roster. So what? Neither was Daniel Bryan. And he got over pretty well. He's too good to fuck up. And he's not getting any younger. He's 40 years old. He's been there for so many years. He's been there for a decade. You had him when he was 30. He's now 40. Is this finally the wake-up call for them? I hope so. Main event was Dominik Mysterio, Bron Breakker, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest in a four-way King of the Ring tournament first-round match. Later in the match, Breakker, he speared Priest. Trick hit Breakker with a trick shot knee. And he covered Priest, and Dom broke it up. So Breakker ended up clotheslining Trick out to the floor. And he goes to the apron, and he does the spot where he leaps from the apron to the announce desk. Only this time, he didn't just knock Trick Williams over the announce desk. The two of them went through the announce desk. The fucking thing collapsed. So that left Damian Priest and Dom all alone in the ring. And Priest, he lowered the straps. He signaled for the South of Heaven chokeslam. When JD McDonough showed up, he was on the top rope, but he came diving off, but he dove right into a chokeslam from Damian Priest. And then he goozled Dom for one. He picked him up, and he's holding him there, and Liv Morgan slides into the ring. She scurries in, and she delivers a low blow to Damian Priest. And Michael Cole says, oh, the referee had no idea what just happened. And I'm like, who gives a fuck, Michael? It's a fucking four-way. No disqualification. The referee could be sitting there in a lounge chair with a pina colada in his hand, watching it right in front of his face. There ain't nothing he can do about it because it's no DQ. It's all legal. So he got Priest in position for a 619. He connected. He went up top. Dom hit a frog splash, and he pinned Damian Priest for the shock win. Damian Priest taking the losing fall in this match was not a shock. Dominik Mysterio winning this match, that was a shock. That's the first upset that we've had in this king or queen of the ring tournament. The good news for Dom is that he is moving on to the semifinals. The bad news for Dom is that he is moving on to the semifinals, where he now has to wrestle Obafemi. Good luck, Dom. I hope you've written up your legal papers just in case you don't make it out alive on Monday. Look, Bron Breakker lost to Seth Rollins in the main event on Raw Monday night. I thought for sure that he was going to rebound here. It would have made all the sense in the world for them to give him a rebound win, move him into the semifinals. And holy shit, look at what we got in the semis. We got Bron Breakker and we got Obafemi, right? Two people who many have tabbed as the future of this company, right? Or two of the names that you consider to be the future of this company. We get to see them one-on-one at the King of the Ring tournament, right? That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool showdown right there. No, we're not getting that. And again, I don't hate the idea of them giving us an unpredictable finish here because I certainly didn't see this one coming. But it just, you've now given us a weaker semifinal as a result, which really goes one of two ways. Either Oba smashes him and anybody who tries to stick their nose in from the Judgment Day, and he wins and he goes to Riyadh, or we see Brock Lesnar show up, and just for shits and giggles, I guess, because he already beat him at Clash in Italy, he shows up anyway, and he costs Oba the crown to put more heat on their eventual third match. And then you send Dom to the finals in Riyadh. I can't see that. I mean, that's your big PLE. You're going to have, what, a Seth Rollins, Dominik Mysterio final? Really? There's no way. There's no way. Oba almost has to win now. He almost has to at least go to the finals. I can't imagine Oba not being flown to Riyadh to wrestle in the finals of this tournament unless they're doing the third match with him and Brock at Night of Champions. And that doesn't even make any sense to me. Because then what does Brock do at SummerSlam? You're not going to not have Brock on that fucking Minnesota show. And if you do the third match with him and Oba in Riyadh, well, you've taken Oba out of the world title picture, then what the hell does he do at SummerSlam? Clearly going to happen in Minnesota. But instead of him maybe costing Oba next week, they wait until Night of Champions. Would they fly Brock? Would Brock fly all the way out to Riyadh just to do a quick run-in? I mean, I guess if the check clears, right, and they pay him enough money, he's probably got his own private jet anyway. It's not like he's sitting in coach. But that would be kind of funny. They fly him all the way over to Riyadh just to do a run-in, maybe hit one F5, and then leave. He'll be back on the plane before the show is even over. But it feels to me like Oba is going to get screwed over in the finals, not the semifinals. That's what it feels like to me. This was pretty standard fare as far as SmackDown goes, outside of the King and Queen of the Ring stuff, which, you know, at least gives some of the matches more purpose than they usually have. That's the benefit of doing these tournaments. You know, I mean, obviously most matches you would hope they exist for some reason. They're advancing some kind of story. Every match you would hope has a purpose, but they have more purpose and more meaning when there's something on the line, you know, like a spot in the finals or a spot in the next round, a chance to challenge for the championship of your choosing, you know, whatever it may be. That's the benefit of doing the King and Queen of the Ring tournament over a period of weeks. That's why they don't do them all in one. Well, they can't do them all in one night now anyway. You got two tournaments. You can't have all the tournament matches in one night. So even if they wanted to, the format just doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, again, the outcomes are not terribly exciting that we got in terms of the two tournaments tonight. Hopefully we end up with good finals, though, on both sides. It's the best we could hope for. But that was SmackDown. Countdown is on. Back to 2 hours as of June 26th. I can't wait. We're going to celebrate. That's what we're going to do. Now, the likes goal was 515. And we are currently sitting at 452. So we're less than 100 away, but we're still a ways off. For those of you wondering where we were, we'll see if we get there. We shall see. Solo going to be a happy man today? Little basketball emoji. All right, let me go through your messages here. I also want to let Joseph Stewart know, because I know Joseph is with us. And Joseph, there's a few wrestling related ones here that I'm going to read. Joseph, I saw all your messages, and I thank you very much. I'm going to do my best in the comments section when we're done here to answer the ones that I don't answer here. So just tune into the comment section when we're done here below the video, and I'll try to answer your other non-wrestling related questions here. But I know you saw Masters of the Universe today, and he was very excited about that. I, too, I too saw Masters of the Universe. I went this afternoon, and look, I grew up a big He-Man fan. He-Man and Thundercats, man. When I was growing up as a kid, that was my jam. Those cartoons were everything. And I saw the first live-action movie when it came out with Dolph Lundgren in 1987. I liked it. I didn't love it. So I didn't know what to expect. It's been, God, you know, it's been a long time. It's been, what 40 years? Almost 40 years since that movie came out. Even longer since the cartoon came out. But I went into it with an open mind, just kind of hoping they would pay homage to what I remember. And I really enjoyed it. I really did. Not the best movie I've seen all year, but kind of like I enjoyed Mortal Kombat 2. I enjoyed this. I actually thought the action was just as good, if not better, than it was in Mortal Kombat. Like the action scenes, the fight scenes. But I had a good time. It's a long movie. 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't know that it needed to be that long, but I enjoyed it. And clearly Joseph enjoyed it as well. Yeah, I don't know why we never got... Yeah, I am Kendall. I don't know why we never got a Thundercats movie. I guess, and now it's too late. No one's going to give a shit. They were going to make one. They should have made one 35 years ago. I will say that I don't want to give anything away. Skeletor was great, by the way. Skeletor, Jared Leto plays Skeletor, but if you didn't know that in advance, you would never know. Like, you never see his face or anything like that. But they did a really good job with Skeletor in terms of just the look and the voice and everything. Yeah. Evelyn, I thought was the weakest part of the whole movie. I did not like that character in this movie. They have Allison Brie playing Evelyn. Allison Brie, by the way, from God, what was the wrestling show? Not Heels. Oh God, what was the other one that got canceled after a couple of seasons? It's been so long, I already forgot the name of the show. But she's a really good actress. But I don't know if it was the casting. I don't know if it was just the way they portrayed the character. Didn't like it. It was like the only thing in the movie I didn't like. But anyway, Joseph, I'm happy that you enjoyed the movie. And I'm going to, I'll drop your answers in the chat a little bit later. He's actually going back to see it again. Let's see here. I know he had a wrestling question. Here we go. What do you think Raven's legacy will be in wrestling? And what do you think he will be remembered for in wrestling? I think Raven's... what he'll be remembered for, by far, is what he did in ECW. That's where the Raven character was born. You know? Nobody is going to be talking about Scotty Flamingo. Nobody is going to be talking really about Johnny Polo. Right? They're going to be talking about Raven. They're going to be talking about the matches and the feud, the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. And even in WCW, Raven's Flock, and he won the U.S. title. He didn't hold it for very long. Honestly, one of my favorite matches in Nitro history he was a part of. You know, when Goldberg won his first belt, he won the U.S. belt off Raven. That was a fun match. And you guys got to go back and listen to that pop. After Goldberg spears him the first time in that match, holy shit. I mean, you want to talk about a crowd reaction. Everybody just rises to their feet. I always get goosebumps when I go back and watch that. And then he just lays waste to all the Flock members. Larry Zbyszko on commentary. They're out of Flock. That was great. But yeah, no, it'll be the Raven character, obviously, that he's remembered for in ECW. And so that'll be his legacy. I mean, beyond that, I don't know what his legacy would be. You know, he was a great character. Joseph, again, thank you, brother. Death Scythe Kurt Angle faced Edge and Christian in 2 King of the Ring matches and faced Shane McMahon in a street fight on the same night. Why can't they have Oba beat Brock in the rubber match and then win King of the Ring? I mean, technically, that nothing is stopping them from doing that, but those are 2 big matches with him that they would be blowing off in one night. They don't want to do that. You know, they got to drag it out. They got to promote it on a different show. They got 2 nights in Minneapolis. I think they have 18,000 tickets out for SummerSlam so far. I don't know if it's 18,000. I think it's 18,000 per night. And look, SummerSlam is, well, it's under 2 months away, but you know, they have big matches they have to promote for that show. They don't want to give it all away in one night. See, but what you just said, Kurt Angle was a beast, man. He was a beast. I don't mean like Beast Man and Masters of the Universe. I mean, he was a beast, man. That guy was a machine. WWE Wrestling and Gaming. Who's the John Cena of AEW? Meaning what? The top star? Jon Moxley. Guy who's been there from day one. You hear stories about him off camera, behind the scenes too, and what a big influence he is behind the scenes as much as he's a big name on camera in the ring for them. I think Moxley, for many years there, Moxley was kind of their Iron Man. And when shit would go sideways, especially with the Punk stuff, they always fell back. Tony Khan did on Jon Moxley. Put the belt on him. He was sort of that steady hand that he could always rely on. I think Moxley is the answer. Obafemi should destroy Dominik Mysterio with the camera shot of Liv Morgan screaming and crying at ringside. He should destroy Dominik Mysterio. You're right about that. Fast Eddie says, will you be covering Season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring in July? Yes, I will. Are you ready? Are you looking forward to it? Broly with a $4.99. Triple H can't build any new stars. Why is Dom in the same position and doing the same character since 2022? Oba would still be in NXT if it wasn't for John Cena. Probably. You're probably right. Nick Grasso with a 1999 says, idea for the Liv and Roxanne split, almost like Triple H Randy Orton in 04. Liv loses the title at SummerSlam to Io or whoever, then Roxanne wins Money in the Bank, becomes champion, and Liv turns on her out of jealousy. That could work. Just minus the whole, thumbs up, thumbs down thing. The electric chair drop to Orton. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that if it worked out that way. Leo says, I'm scared. I just know they're going to have Kiana job to Julia. It is a rough time being a fan of Kiana. Hey, look, there's no shame in losing to Julia, okay? But I think you're probably wrong about that. I just have a feeling, if I were you as a Kiana James fan, I wouldn't worry too much. If you're a Julia fan, I would be concerned. If you're a Kiana James fan, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think she's going to be okay. Randy Bobandy, again, thank you, brother, for that 50 bomb. Appreciate it. Happy birthday, brother. Hope it's a good one. Or was a good one, now that it's 12:01 a.m. ASU Amy, good to see. Let's just fight here tonight in Insert City. Good to see the trope is still ubiquitous. WWE does it just about every show. It is such they do it every week. They rely their whole product is nothing but tropes. Tropes and formula. They have no incentive to change from it. Plug and play. It's the easiest form of booking. Plug and play. Solomonster's lost son says, I can't wait to watch Game 3 with you, Dad. No. First of all, you're not invited, number one. Number two, I'm busy. I'm going to be streaming during Game 3. I'm going to be watching Raw and going live. You can go watch it with your deadbeat mom. Venom Kitetsu. with a $25 Brie mode. How would you keep Kaiser Americano occupied between now and September if the end game is indeed for him to beat Dom? Would you have his posse branch off as a tag team since he doesn't need the backup against Gable anymore? I mean, I wouldn't have them under masks to begin with. I mean, they're too good for it, just like Gable. You see, my plans for Kaiser Americano are not really so much focused on Monday Night Raw. I really think that he's a AAA guy now. You know, and whatever he's doing on Raw is probably going to be fairly limited. But they are both on the Raw brand. But you have a weekly AAA show. That's really where the key angles should play out. But given that Dom is part of a faction, the thing with the Judgment Day only has, though, Dom and McDonough. Yeah, the rest are the ladies. It's Liv, it's Raquel, and it's Roxanne. So if Kaiser keeps Ryo and Bravo around, he's got the 3-on-2 advantage, which doesn't really make any sense from a babyface perspective. So yeah, I don't really think he needs Ryo and Bravo around anymore, honestly. I don't know what they're going to do on Raw. I really don't. I don't know that the fans are necessarily going to care as much as they will if they just keep it in AAA. Like, he's a AAA guy now. I wouldn't take the mask off him ever. Like, to me, this is it. This is his career right now. You ride this wave until you can't ride it no more. He belongs to them now. Like, he's all in when it comes to AAA. JM says, with Bron losing, I have an awful and bad feeling that Tala Tonga is going to win the fatal 4-way match over Rollins, Triple H. Over Rollins and Triple H. I think Triple H sees Tala Tonga as the next Undertaker. No, he doesn't. They're trying to keep the members of the MFTs as strong as possible because they're going to be feuding with the Bloodline at some point, and then they're going to be soundly defeated. I can assure you, he does not look at him as the next Undertaker. Nor has he shown any signs of even being the next Undertaker. There is no next Undertaker. I don't think you need to worry about that. Although, judging from the results so far of this tournament, I can't put it past them to put Tala Tonga in the semifinals. As awful as that sounds. Broly says Kiana has won one match since getting called up. Yes. Well, because most of the time she was, spending her time in Julia's corner as her mouthpiece. She hasn't gotten a proper push. She has not gotten a proper singles push yet. Now that they've split, now we're going to see, like, what do they really have in mind for her? What is really her ceiling in this company? I feel like her ceiling is going to be a lot higher than Julia's. Leo says, I need Danhausen to put a curse on the SmackDown women's locker room so Kiana can start winning. It's worked for New York. It might work for Kiana. Now, you know what, though? I don't know that multiple curses at once really works. I think it's basically like he's got to put all of his focus into this one curse. And I think if he starts cursing this and that and this and that, too many curses at once, he cursed The Miz, it's too much. It's going to weaken the current curses, and we can't allow that until the Knicks have secured the championship. And once they've won that trophy, then they can do whatever they want. But in the meantime, I wouldn't fuck with the curse. Can you imagine, though? Like, if Danhausen, like, all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I've changed my mind. New York Knicks, you are cursed. And then they come out in game 3 and they lose. Like, I don't think Danhausen would be able to set foot in New York without his life being in danger. Like, he would need like a personal security entourage if he ever came into New York. Like, I would worry for this man's physical well-being. I was just saying, like, if he wanted to really fuck with people and then recurse the Knicks before the series is over and then they suddenly start losing. I just remember poor Steve Bartman in Chicago all those years ago. Like, the guy's just sitting there watching the game. And one moment One night changes that guy's entire life. People are nuts. People are crazy. But he'd be the biggest heel in New York City. Solomonster's lost son, Wemby, is 2 years younger than me. I'm old, Dad. You see? You see what I'm dealing with here? Now you know why I abandoned him. Give me back shot Solomonster with the $1.99. Yeah, that's what got me in trouble the first time. How do you think I ended up with Solomonster's lost son? Says, I gotta hug you. This Knicks win calls for it. I'll give you a virtual hug. How about that? We can virtually hug. Dry Chicken says, Triple H loves to insult everyone's intelligence. Devin from NJ. Back in the day, I didn't want the crowds to stop making noise. Nowadays, all I want them to do is shut up. What changed? I think when they decided to make the show all about themselves. That's what changed. It used to be about the actual matches and what you were seeing in the ring, and I don't know. Over time, it just became something very different where they felt like, oh, we're part of the show. Okay, well. Justin G tried the... Have you tried the Panda Express Cantonese brisket? No, it probably sounds like something I wouldn't try because that sounds spicy. And Solomonster may get spicy sometimes, but he doesn't do spicy. I feel like that probably would not be for me. Although Panda Express is very good. JD and I both, man, when we wrapped up that Las Vegas show for House of Glory, which was in the Pearl Theater, which is in the Palms Casino. So when we left the Pearl, we're in the casino, and it was late. It had to be after midnight. And there was a food court there. And the food court was open, and right in the middle of the food court is a Panda Express. Of course, they had the longest line. I'm like, that's where we're going. So we waited in line for like 20 minutes. And I had the best Panda Express that I think I've ever had in my life. And I told them, I said, hey, wait here. And I walked into the casino because there was a bar, like a giant bar right in the middle. I said, I'm not buying a soda from Panda Express. I'm getting a Jack and Coke from over here. And I'm going to bring it back to the food court. So I was the degenerate grabbing the Jack and Coke from the bar and bringing it to the food court to have it with my Panda Express. Best meal ever. And Dry Chicken says, Obafemi needs to destroy Dominik Mysterio like a lion. Smash his ego and give him some big boo-boos and make Liv Morgan sad. Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to be too difficult. Hopefully that's what we get. Yeah, Panda Express, I usually get the it's like bourbon chicken. Very good. It also says, Right to Censor is the most underrated group in WWE. They had perfect heat and the funniest, worst entrance music. Yeah, I didn't like Right to Censor. Not a fan. I mean, they tried to make the most of it, Stevie and the rest of them, but I just didn't like the group. EJ Slamp, imagine Cena versus Eddie Kingston on the mic. You call me 5 moves of doom. I watched you and Ishii chat for 20 minutes and got bored. Actually, a promo battle back in the day with Cena and Eddie Kingston would be money. Be very entertaining. Honey Walnut Shrimp. Yes, that too. Honey Walnut Shrimp is my number 1 from Panda Express. That is my number 1. Fried Chicken says, I feel the right to censor has unintentionally foreshadowed TKO when it comes to criticisms. EJ says, it's been 2.5 years since Tanahashi became New Japan president. And how would you rate his tenure? And does he share blame for the cold product like Triple H does? Yeah, I mean, well, he hasn't really done a whole lot to change that. The product has been cold for a while now. So it's, I think, very middle of the road as far as, you know, how he's done. I don't know offhand all of the business decisions that he's been responsible for, but, you know, the product is definitely, I mean, as far as like, we're now 6 years removed from the start of the pandemic, and the pandemic hurt New Japan in a way that they still haven't fully recovered from. You know, WWE did, AEW did, and New Japan never really did. And that was something that was out of their control, obviously. But a lot of it is up, you know, up to Gedo and the booking there, and just it's Gedo's booking. But of course, you know, if Tanahashi wanted to make a change there, he could. I don't know who he would delegate that responsibility to. So he definitely bears some of the responsibility there. Absolutely. Terrence, go New York, go New York, go. Yes, Terrence. They're going all the way to game 4. They may sweep this thing. I hope so, because I think that's the only way they're going to win in New York, right? I think they would have to sweep, I think, to win the championship at home. Right? If it goes to a game 5, it goes back to San Antonio, I believe. EJ says, I've watched Brunson since high school and Villanova. I just wish he was doing this here in Chicago like Derrick Rose did, not New York City. Well, I can understand that. Lost Dill, an hour behind the live. Please tell me Joe Hendry was on this show. Either way, here's 10 for Be the Booker. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, brother. Joe Hendry's a Raw guy, though. Why would he be on SmackDown? Joe Hendry was, in fact, not on this show. I don't know that anybody was expecting him to be, though. Brian Finelli with a $9.99. Shannon and I went to an NXT house show tonight. I had a great time, especially when talent is allowed to have fun and interact with the live crowd. Got home just in time for your review, and the Knicks won. Good night, Solo. Well, it sounds like a good night. That does sound like a good night. Thank you, Brian. I'm glad the two of you had fun. House shows are fun. It doesn't matter if it's NXT, main roster. House shows are fun. And Super Pony. With a $4.99, Gable getting a push is as likely as Ric Flair not making a fool of himself every 2 seconds. Hopefully he'll leave next time. His contract is up. Oh, I thought you were talking about Flair at the bar. I hope he'll leave next time. He doesn't want to leave. I keep telling him it's closing time, and he just keeps asking for more vodka tonics. Thank you, brother. Justin G says it's no spicier than the orange chicken. Promise. All right. Well, if it's not overly spicy, then I may have to try it out one day. What would you say it was? The Cantonese what? Remind me again. Ace Italiano. Wherever Chad Gable goes, does he link back up with American Made? If so, would they be heels or... I don't think he needs American Made. American Made is not getting a push. Chad Gable needs to get a push. So I don't think he needs to go with American Made. The Joker's voice. Danhausen does have a second curse. He cursed the Carolina Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup playoffs. As a Las Vegas resident, I gotta be excited. Man, he's just cursing everybody, isn't he? Super Pony Panda is underrated. Always enjoy it when I get it. And Lost Dill with a $9.99. I just need him anywhere. him being Joe Hendry. You'll get him during the commercial break. That's when you'll get him. So I hope you got your VPN. That's the only way you're going to see him unless you buy a ticket to go to the show. I'm sorry to say, I don't know why you would relegate him to the commercial breaks and not give him an entrance when his music is a big part of his act and we never get to hear it. Make it make sense. I find myself saying that a lot with WWE these days. Make it make sense. And Super Pony. Thank you for the $4.99, brother. Hate to put you on the spot like that. You love it, please. Hate to put you on the spot like this, but can you rank every Halloween sequel? I don't know about every Halloween sequel, but my rankings are pretty solid for the top 4 or 5. And really all you got to do is just swap 3 and 2. So the first one is number 1 easily. It's always the best. The second best one is part 3. And I know some people are going to laugh or challenge me on that. I don't give a shit. Part 3 is great. Part 2 I put in spot number 3. And then part 4 is number 4. Part 5 is number 5. Then it gets a little hazy. The Paul Rudd one, which I think is part 6, I wasn't really a fan of. The H2O wasn't bad. I don't know where I'd put that one. The Rob Zombie ones I'm going to leave out because that's kind of a separate lore. Actually, you know, Halloween 2018 was really good. Halloween 2018. I feel like if anything, I probably would put that one after part 4. So maybe we go 1, 3, 2, 4, and then 2018. The rest of them I'd have to think about. But again, the top like 4, maybe 5 for me are pretty rock solid. They got a game coming out too, by the way. In September, I think the Halloween game is coming out. Carrie says Nixon 4. Yeah. I agree. Nixon 4. Chris Mikesell with a $9.99. Look at that. Super Saiyan Cena showing up on screen. If you had to choose a winner to hold the vacant WWF title in the fall of 1998, who would you pick? Kane or The Undertaker? Kane. Easily. Kane. Should have had longer than 24 hours with that belt. All right. You guys ended up breaking the goal here. 554. The goal was 515. So give yourselves a round of applause because guess where we're going? Before we get there, though, we have EJ. I think Danhausen recursed the Cubs. 2 10-game win streaks and a 10-game losing streak this season. The White Sox are winning, so I love it. Must be nice to have a winning baseball team. I forgot what that feels like. Let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
I don't remember that feeling. Skeletor being good is nice, even though it's Leto. Yeah, I don't care for Jared Leto. But Skeletor was awesome in the movie. I feel like there's going to be people who hate on it because they were big He-Man fans when they were a kid. And in the movie, they really do poke a lot of fun at themselves. Like even the He-Man name. And like Fisto, which is a Masters of the Universe character. But the guy's name is fucking Fisto. I mean, come on. We literally had like half a dozen fisting jokes in this movie. But how can you not? The guy's name is Fisto. So, I mean, come on. Some people aren't going to like that, though. All right, tag team Be the Booker. We got Andre the Giant and Haku. The Colossal Connection. That's a tough team to beat. Andre was past his prime, but Andre is still Andre. All Andre has to do is just stand on top of you. That's what he used to do. He would stand on his opponent's stomach or stand on their back. Sure, that didn't feel too good. They're going to be taking on the Fabulous Freebirds. Fabulous Freebirds and the Colossal Connection. I'll allow it. I'll give it the bell. There is some history there with Andre and Michael Hayes. If you ever hear Michael Hayes tell the story when the Freebirds were very briefly working for WWF. And fart on them, according to Jake Roberts. There's a story that Jake Roberts has told that is so disgusting. I don't even want to retell it. But I think he's told it so many times, and I think when he does his like one-man shows, he tells it about a rib he played on Rick Rude with a woman. I'm sure some of you know that story. It's vile. All right, Women's Be the Booker. It is timeless. When we go black and white, it is time for Timeless Tony Storm. Boy, she disappeared, didn't she? Timeless Tony Storm. And who? Well, Timeless Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. Best friends, now bitter enemies. And in our main event, never heard that story. Don't know if I want to. You probably don't want to. We have Darula. Obafemi is in the main event where he belongs. Look at this. This is his main event debut here in Be the Booker. We got Obafemi. Now we just need Brock Lesnar and we can complete the trilogy. It is not Brock Lesnar, but it is the Godfather. And if the Godfather is smart, the Godfather wants no part of Obafemi. And so what the Godfather is going to do is he's going to offer one of his hoes. And Obafemi will take one, and they will go off together, and there will be no main event. So we don't even get a match out of it. They all just leave together happily ever after. That's how the show ends. That's how it was in the Attitude Era. That's how it be. All aboard. Yes, all aboard. The Ruler and the Pimp. Just one. Well, that's a good point.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
That's right. Big Dave is going to join in too with his skinny jeans. Oba could take them all. I'm limiting him to just one. EJ Slamp says, speaking of He-Man, I just heard your LOD Dark Side review this week. You corrected Ellering. The name came from Super Friends, not He-Man. I corrected Ellering? Did Ellering say something wrong and I corrected him? I don't remember. I did that Dark Side review on LOD some time ago. How many years ago did I do that? Dry Chicken says Andre and Haku against the Fabulous Freebirds. The winner getting a private jet. No private jet could possibly fit Andre the Giant. So, and also Timeless Tony Storm against Mina with Luther as the referee. Mina, you know, if they ever pick up with that storyline, I wouldn't be surprised if Mina is revealed as the attacker, the one who laid out Tony in the first place. But then again, I don't know when we're going to get Tony back. Could be a while. Ah, they say Legion of Doom came from He-Man, but it came from Super. Yes. Okay. Yes. I believe I did make that correction for them. As a He-Man fan from back in the day, I would have known that. So maybe that's what he's referring to. Maybe I corrected them. Says Maze says, yes, that was also the same review where you revealed that as a kid you would dress up as He-Man and then crash into the recliner head on. I did that many times. You know how many rips and tears were in that leather recliner because I would just crash into it? I probably gave myself CTE. I crashed into it so many times. I had a Battle Cat inflatable. So I didn't even tell the best part of the story. Sometimes I would just run through the house and run through the living or the apartment and run through the living room and crash into the recliner with my sword and just knock myself loopy. But I also had a Battle Cat inflatable and I would ride it like a horse. So I would just kind of ride it through the apartment with my sword in one hand and I would say, you know, I have the power. And yeah, my father would be in the other room sometimes. Shut the fuck up. I was doing it nonstop. Probably got so sick of me even saying it. I have the power. Oh, it was good times. Good times. Anyway, thank you guys for a fun Friday night. We talked wrestling. We talked some NBA there. Very exciting final few closing moments of the game. There's a lot going on here tonight. Some He-Man. So the next time I am with you on this YouTube channel will be Monday night, which just so happens to be Game 3 at Madison Square Garden. No tickets for us regular folks, by the way. They shut all the regular fans out of buying actual tickets to this game. Not that anybody could actually fucking afford them. But I will be streaming for the Raw Post Show on Monday night. Hopefully you can join me, or if you want to do the double screen, if you're going to be watching the game on one, me on the other. That's cool too. Although I probably won't be live until 11, so the game may be over at that point. I don't know. We'll see. But before that, we have episode 966. We got a lot to talk about on the Sound Off this Sunday. So hopefully you will join me then for the podcast. $10,000 for nosebleeds. I'm telling you, man, Ari Emanuel, he's taking notes. He's taking notes. How come we didn't think of that for TKO? Be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great weekend wherever you may be. See you back here on Monday night and Sunday for episode 966 of the Solomonster Sounds Off. I did a quick little written review, by the way, for the Masters of the Universe movie, as I do for all the ones I'm seeing lately on my Letterboxd account. So if you want to check me out on there and go follow the Solomonster on Letterboxd, I'll see you on there. Take care, guys.